Joining me now on this exclusive Sportskeeda Wrestling interview is a man who really needs no introduction. He stands 6'5", he's 295 pounds, and he's the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And of course, I'm talking about the one, the only, Moose. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good.
Well, I know in just about every interview that you do, people touch on your football background, but for some of those who aren't familiar with you, I just want to point out to the fans out there that you were a standout lineman at Syracuse. You were drafted by the Atlanta Falcons. You played a few years in the NFL, and then you made the jump to pro wrestling. Got to ask you right off the bat, what motivated you to leave the gridiron and join the squared circle?
Just because wrestling's something I've been a huge fan of since I was young, so wanted to chase a dream.
You know, when I interviewed you, maybe it was a year or two ago, you talked about the big difference between pro wrestling and football, and you said, and it was one of the great quotes I've ever heard, you said, in sports, or when you're an athlete, you feed off the adrenaline, but when you're a performer, you have to learn how to control the adrenaline. How has that level of concentration helped you, not only, you know, as you said, you kind of feed off the adrenaline and you have to control it later. How's that level of concentration helped you as far as making that transition to being a pro wrestler?
I mean, it's pretty much the same. It's just pretty much just slight differences. Like I said, like with wrestling, you have to listen to the crowd and gauge on how their interaction is or what you need to do next. And that's different with football, where like you need to feed off them to get you going. And I mean, you do technically kind of do the same thing with wrestling, but I mean, there's a lot of similarities and slight differences.
You had a lot of success since you came into Impact, and obviously you've held multiple titles there and become one of the biggest stars in the company. But what are some of your personal highlights in your time with the promotion?
I feel like everything I do is a highlight, man. I'm not one of those guys that would single one thing on top of the other. Everything I do, I have fun doing it. It's all memorable to me.
You know, I think sometimes when football players make the transition to wrestling, people think, oh, this is just another big guy, another powerhouse. But you've shown a lot of athleticism. How proud are you of the way that you've developed in the years that you've been in the ring?
I'm proud. I mean, I still feel like I have a lot to learn, and I'm growing every day as a performer, and that's what I'm going to keep doing. And even right now, it's not it's not the finished product. I'm still working on my in-ring, my promos, my body, and hopefully here soon, hopefully in this year, you guys will be close to a finished product.
You know, you went from being one of the most over baby faces in the company to being one of the most over heels. I always ask everybody, which role do you like to play better, the good guy or the bad guy?
I like playing Moose. I mean, I really don't look at it that way as a good guy or bad guy. It's just like playing the character Moose.
And speaking of Moose has been involved in a whole lot of, Impact does a lot of the backstage vignettes where some of the action takes place outside the ring or even outside the building. How do you feel about that, about kind of stretching out and showing some acting skills outside of the ring?
It's definitely something I want to dabble with here. I know acting is a hard thing to get into, but it's definitely something I want to dabble in once. I mean, at any time, I just got to do my research to see how I can get into it.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, being the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and now we've seen another World Champion show up in Impact, and that's the AEW Champion, Kenny Omega. Is there any chance you'd want to tangle with him or any other individuals in All Elite Wrestling right now?
There's no reason to. I mean, only Kenny knows why he came down to Impact Wrestling, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that like having matches just because, it's a dream match. Let's be this guy versus that guy. It has to be a reason why I'm wrestling Kenny. Like, what does he have that I want? Do I want his AEW champion? I don't work for AEW, so I don't want his championship. Now, if he was coming to Impact trying to get my TNA World Heavyweight Championship, that's a different story. But as of right now, I don't think that's why he's here in Impact Wrestling. I think he's here in Impact Wrestling to have a good time with the Good Brothers, and that's exactly what he's doing. So we'll see what happens.
You've had quite a rivalry recently with Willie Mack. How do you feel like you guys work together in the ring, and what do you think about the matches you've had so far?
We work together good. Willie Mack is a phenomenal talent, and we put up another classic here in Genesis this Saturday on Impact, the Impact network. I can't think of the name right now. My mind is
Impact Plus. Impact Plus.
Impact Plus.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend you guys to check that out. And, see me, of course, hurt Willie Mack some more. But yeah, Willie Mack is a great competitor and is always a good one every time I step into the ring with him.
Who are some of your other favorites, even from past or present, from Impact that you've worked with?
Eddie is a good one. We've had a lot of classic. Me and EC3 had a good storytelling, dramatical, cinematic match. This last pay-per-view just happened. And, yeah.
After all these years in Impact, you're a veteran and one of the big stars in the company. What advice would you give to all these young guys that are coming in the company now?
Just do what you're told.
That's good advice, actually.
That's a big one. Do what you're told.
You've not really been penciled in yet for Hard to Kill Saturday, January 16th. I'm sorry. Are we going to see you there? And is there any chance we're going to see the TNA World Heavyweight title on the line?
I definitely won't be wrestling, but I'll be there, just keeping my eyes on things, making sure everything goes as planned. But as of right now, I'm not planning to wrestle. I'm probably gonna take that day off in the ring.
As I mentioned earlier, you are a fan favorite, and you've also been the heel in the company. But you always still get a really big reaction from the fans, no matter what side of the fence that you're on. You have any messages for your fans out there?
Messages for my fans. To keep doing what you guys are doing. If you guys hate me, then boo me. If you guys love me, then cheer me. It's your decision, but I'm always going to be Moose.
And quite honestly, I have to tell you, you have the greatest version. There's been many versions of the TNA title, but the one that you have looks the coolest. How long can we expect you to keep holding on to that belt?
I guess until the right competitor steps up who's worthy enough to take it from me.
And finally, looking back over your career, what is maybe some of your biggest successes and maybe some of your biggest regrets?
One thing I don't have any regrets. I look at everything as a learning experience, and I feel like everything I do, like I always say, I don't like thinking about one thing as the best highlight of my career. I feel like everything I've done is a success. I'm a successful person, and I have no regrets. Even when I failed, I don't take it as a regret. I take it as a learning experience.
Well, there he is, the man known as Moose, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I want to remind everybody about Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill on January 16th, and also to check out this man every Tuesday night on Access TV. Moose, you're one of the great competitors out there, one of the great big men, and I sure appreciate your time today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you. Take care, sir.